All right, this week on the pod, we have Philco Raves, who is one of the main engineers at Mystic Records in the 1980s. And then, surprisingly enough, small world, he did some post-production sound editing for the greatest movie of all time, The Stoned Age. So we got Phil on this week, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I am a total punisher in this interview, just kind of going through the Mystic catalog and trying to get him to pepper me with details on some of these records. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't, fuck it. Anyway, if you would like to support the podcast, please like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Please share with your friends. This is niche as fuck. It's hard to get out there. So spreading the word is the best way to help out the pod. If you would like to go the extra mile, please go to patreon.com/185 miles south and become a monthly Patreon. You kick in a little bit of money every month. It keeps the podcast going, keeps it alive. And, I can definitely say for a fact that this pod would not be going still if it wasn't for the Patreons. So much love to them, my true heroes. Let's get on with the pod.
185 miles south. A hardcore punk rock podcast.
All right, everyone. This week on the podcast, we got the notorious Philco Raves from Mystic Records, and it's so great to have you, Phil. Do you like to go by Phil or Philco or?
Philco usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
kind of like my music moniker.
Yeah, it was so cool to get in touch with you because, I'm a huge fan of Mystic Records, and a lot of the bands that have been on this podcast were on Mystic, and so it's kind of cool to have that the behind the board look going on. So
I've been cramming on some of your podcasts lately. It's really good stuff on there. I really appreciate that stuff.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Not to put you fully on the spot, but how old are you, Phil?
As of last January, 63.
Okay.
So I'm officially older than dirt.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to put it in perspective with like the guys you were recording. So because the Ill Repute guys are in probably their mid 50s now, I would think.
Yeah.
Or maybe early 50s.
And that's about the same ratio as most of the bands we were working with. I was a little bit older than everybody else.
Yeah, so they might have been in their late teens and you were in your late 20s or so.
Exactly. Well, mid-20s, early to mid-20s, I think.
Okay. When did you get into music and what did you get into first? Just in general in your life.
I've always been heavily into music since I was a kid. I mean, in junior high school, I discovered like T-Rex and then, David Bowie, and the whole like glitter thing was really my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was in high school. I graduated high school in 1975.
Okay. So
it was mid-70s. And then from there, I started listening to more punk and, stuff started coming around. I started listening to that. And I always kind of, since I was a child, knew I was going to be involved in music somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit and just dissect records, listen to them with headphones, and just was curious about every single aspect of what I heard. I couldn't for the life of me figure out how they'd like, double vocals and stuff, have the same person singing at twice at the same time.
Yeah. Do you, are you interested in going into engineering like right out of high school? Is that what you foresaw yourself doing?
Well, I was an artist. I started going to school for art, and I started, with painting and everything. And eventually that led me into more conceptual forms of art. And then I started doing video production. And this was like late 70s after high school, a few years after high school. I started doing video productions and started videotaping bands at the Starwood.
Okay.
Bands like, Black Randy and Human Hands and Speed Queens and, a million bands started, videotaping them.
Hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, I got like an intern gig at a studio called Music Lab,
Okay.
which is in Silver Lake, which is a great studio.
Okay. And are they still around?
I don't know. I mean, the last time I was there was probably 87,
Okay.
88.
So we'll
I
think a
don't know
good
if they're
thought
still
for
around,
them.
but I have say it again?
I said, we'll think a good thought for them that they've held it up since '87.
Yeah, I hope they're still around. I hope they're still around. Studios, come and go quite often.
No, for sure. Okay, so you start
It's
doing.
a hard time to be a studio.
Yeah, sometimes. Although, like, the consumption of music is definitely there right now. With vinyls made a huge comeback over the last 10 years, and now there's such a small barrier to like get your band out there with everyone just on the digital platforms.
With streaming and just being able to have a studio in your home and everybody's got a laptop. I mean, the democratization of music recording and music releasing has really come to fruition to where it's like anybody at any point can make something and put it out, and it's out there for everybody to see. There's no guardians at the gates anymore, like it used to be in the old days, where you had to have an expensive studio and you'd have to have a lot of money to master and put out a record. It was not a cheap. You had to really be committed to get something out.
Of course. So
and now it's just you just do it.
Yeah, you get a bootleg copy of GarageBand or Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Just do it in your house.
Right.
So what do you learn in your internship, and what is this like walking into a studio for the first time?
It was pretty amazing. I mean, I walked in, and my eyes were wide as saucers, just looking around all the equipment and everything. I mean, the first thing that I learned was signal flow, obviously.
Okay.
And my positioning.
Can you
and
tell me what that?
Like that.
Can you say what that means? The signal flow. What does that
signal
mean?
Signal flow.
Yeah.
In and out, where you take the signal and it goes to a patch bay and goes out to outboard gear and to other equipment and then back in.
Okay.
And just how the sound passes through the electronics.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not good at
I wasn't
that.
actually there very long.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a lost discipline, kind of a lost art, I think, now with all the plugins and stuff that you have in Pro Tools and the other workstations. You can have literally $1 billion worth of outboard gear right at your fingertips on every channel. It's just insane. I mean, at Mystic Studios we had I think we had 2 compressors, and we didn't have reverbs. We had echo chambers in the basement that were at one point bank vaults. There was three empty rooms that had a speaker and a microphone in them, and that's where the reverb came from.
Okay.
Which was wonderful and lush on some things. I mean, if you had a singer that was singing, a slower song or whatever, you could sneak it in and stuff. It was horrifying for fast music because there was no control over it. You couldn't shorten the length of the tail, so you put a little bit of a reverb on, and it's just there forever. It just goes on and on and on. So it was very difficult.
Yeah. So you come out of your internship, and then what is your next gig in music?
Mystic Studios.
Okay, so how do you meet Doug?
I think I was at Music Lab as an intern for maybe a few months, so I was pretty green when I started at Mystic. I really, I kind of just jumped in and started doing it, and that was that. How I met Doug. Well, I was while I was interning, I had friends that were in the business, and I had a friend Andy Spam who basically bought and sold studios. He would go in and buy studios that had gone out of business and television stations and stuff, and buy the equipment and resell it, and sell it down to Mexico or other places. Mm-hmm. And he told me about this old crazy guy that just had enough of recording business, and he was gonna he wanted to get out of his studio. He wanted someone to take it over and maybe pay him something and just walk away from it all. I said, well, listen, I want to meet this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I met Doug. I walked into the studio and talked with Doug, and he had no intention of leaving. But, we had a good conversation. We talked about different things, and we hit it off, and I moved in the next day and started working.
Okay, and so what year would that have been?
Let me think. 82, maybe?
Okay. Do you remember the first record?
I don't really remember.
Okay. No, I have the whole discography. It was a passion project of mine that I did probably 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And so I got everything pieced together pretty well. But if you can remember an early project you did, we can maybe nail it down.
Gosh.
What, were you there in 81 or you come in 82 or 83?
I think 82. I think one of the first things I was involved with was working with Roger Rogerson on You Can't Argue with Success.
Okay.
Which I think was really one of the first punk rock records to come out on Mystic.
I do not have
I
it
might
at all.
be wrong.
I do not
There
have it at
wasn't
all.
much there wasn't much going on in the way of punk rock music there when I first got there.
Right, because
he
doesn't really start going into it until 82. He dives in a little bit. He does the Mentors 12-inch EP.
Yeah.
In 82,
yeah.
And then also the Deprogrammer LP is pretty punk.
And actually, you're right. That was the first project that I did. I started that before I went in. I walked into Mystic with a couple of projects I was working on. The Mentors was one.
Okay.
And that was a project I started recording at Media Art Studios, which was where SST and Black Flag was doing the recording. And one of my engineers on the project was Spot. Terrific guy, great engineer. And it was just kind of something I was floundering around with. And I started recording it, not knowing how I was going to put it out, but I had commitments to put it out. And then I met Doug, and it kind of all came together. So that worked out really nice.
Yeah, and that's a
I walked in with.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I walked in to Mystic with a couple of different bands. A band called the Super Heroines, which was Eva from the Speed Queens, D. Detroit from UXA, Community FK, which is, I guess you would call them like a goth band kind of thing, which there wasn't really, they weren't calling it that back then. And there was one other that I can't remember. But that's basically what I walked in with when I met Doug. Yeah,
and the only one of those that I have on my list is the D. Detroit, and that actually is, I have it listed as 1981. So that's really early. Let's talk about recording the Mentors a little bit, because that's a pretty fun record. And this is the first Mentors record. It's either called Get Up and Die, or some people refer to it as the Trash Bag LP.
Trash Bag, yeah.
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 And what do you remember about meeting the Mentors, and how were they in the studio?
Well, I was living in a loft space on 5th and Wall at the time, where I was doing my video productions. I had my editing rooms there and stuff. And it's like it's the building that's on the cover of Morrison Hotel.
Okay.
I had half the top floor, which is a good amount of space. I don't know, it must have been a few thousand square feet. And so I was there, and my neighbor was an artist who was my landlord. He lived like on the other half of the building, so he sublet the half of the building to me. And he was deep into the art scene. And one of his friends was Black Randy from Black Randy and the Metro Squad.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And and he had a label, Danger House Records.
Absolutely.
And so he was courting the Mentors, and he brought them over. He described it to me as a back of big fat backwoods motherfuckers that wore executioner's hood and played rape rock. That's how he described them to me before I had met them. So that, of course, piqued my interest. So
sure.
I went. They came over. The whole crew came over, mentors and all their friends and stuff. And we were on the roof of the building where we were living, and Black Granny was having a meeting for him, and he told them that, well, Danger House wants to put out their record, but they have a lot of commitments, and it's going to be probably 6 or 7 months before they can actually get it out. And so they weren't happy with that. So after Randy left, I kind of swooped in and said, look, guys, I can do this, and I can, start recording right away, and, we can get it out quick.
Yeah, they're
not actually knowing how we were going to get it out.
Right. They thought that the song "Going Through Your Purse" was too urgent. It couldn't wait.
yeah. The fans were clamoring for it.
That's right. So you hit the studio.
And so I can. Yeah. So I took them. We went to Media Art and we were recording. We were recording there, and then also we recorded at Music Lab where I was working after hours. I could go in after midnight or whatever, and work on my own projects. So that's what I did. And they were one of the projects I was working on.
Yeah. And were they just
the rest is kind of history.
were they just wild characters, or were they partying all the time, or were they pretty?
Oh yeah,
did they have it together?
I'm sure they had nothing together.
Okay.
They were all just maniacs. El Duce didn't really eat food; he just kind of drank most of the time. And there was Sicky Wife Beater and Dr. Heathen Scum Wesda was the bass player, and they pretty much were living the life that that you would think they would be living. Yep. I mean, you must have heard a lot of El Duce stories from around Hollywood. There's millions of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I
heard that he did eat, but it was candy with with the wrappers on. So
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I never saw him without a beer in his hand. I don't think he was always, or a bottle of Kessler or something. He was always drinking.
So do you bring this record to Doug, and is it finished by the time Doug hears it? Do you have to pitch it to him?
Okay. I think it was just about finished. We were close.
Okay.
I think we were doing final mixes, and it was on 24 tracks, so we couldn't mix at Mystic because it was 16 tracks. So I finished it on my own.
Okay.
And then we brought it in. Then I brought it into Doug.
And what was his opinion of the record?
He liked it. He was amused. He thought it was great.
Yeah.
He wanted to put it out, and we did. Unfortunately, it came out in a baggie with some paper in there with it.
Yeah.
It's a trash baggie. It wasn't. The band was not real happy with that aspect of it, but at least it came out, and that was one thing that I needed to get done. It was very important.
Were you involved with either of the comps that came out in '82? He did the "You Can't Argue with Success," and then also he did the first Sound of Hollywood with all the girl groups.
Yeah.
You were involved with both of those. How did you curate those, and whose responsibility was it?
Well, at that point, let's see. We'll take one at a time. The We Got Power album was Jordan Schwartz had a band team called We Got Power.
Yeah, that's another.
And we were.
That's moving ahead a little bit, but because that's '83.
Are you not?
No,
I thought you were talking about We Got Power.
No, the first one was a punk record in '82 called "You Can't Argue with Success." Success.
Yeah, that's the one. I just brought that up a minute ago. That was one of the first records I worked on there with Roger from the Circle Jerks, Roger Rogerson.
Okay. Cool.
And I didn't do much actual engineering on that. I was just kind of helping and around, just kind of taking it all in. I didn't actually record any of the songs on that, but I was there hanging with Roger, helping whatever he needed to do.
Okay.
Something like graphic. Starting out in art, I unfortunately did a lot of, I did almost all the record covers, all those crappy covers people hate. I did, with an X-Acto blade and amber lith and ruby lith and
I think that's unfair. I think
Letraset.
I think that's unfair.
Rubbing the letters.
I think you're being unfair to yourself. Because
Yeah.
I think that there are people that like them, like myself. So I love all this
Well, I
art.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot.
You can look at a lot of that and see that the letters are crooked and stuff because they're all being rubbed off of a sheet of whatever with letters on it, and you kind of line them up best you can and rub them off with a little tool to, to make the works. It's very archaic. It was like how you'd imagine the Flintstones would do a record cover.
Sure,
But
sure.
that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to a Aggression we were on, and they were talking about the ugly picture record.
Yeah.
Where it's like them all cut out, basically. I mean, that's what it was. It's just me with an X-Acto blade trying to make a record cover, in time to get it out. I just, had an X-Acto blade and my little workstation and just cut stuff out, pasted it back together, and cut out letters and did that. Very, very archaic way of doing things.
Yeah, but I love that record cover. I think Bob's crazy for not liking it.
I do too.
It just
I do too. I actually like that one a lot.
No, I know that one's great. I think that it just is graded on a curve because their LP from '83 is so iconic with like the skateboard in the pool. So,
oh yeah, that was a great record.
Hard to
that
follow.
Was a great
up on
record.
That. So forgive me, I just want to go down this list and pick your brain a little bit to see what you're involved in.
Sure, yeah, sure.
This stuff is so cool. Did you record the Vox Pop album at all? Were you in there for that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, how about for when?
I was actually.
Go ahead.
I was in there for that. I was actually living in the basement.
Okay.
At Mystic Studios. This whole time, I moved into Mystic Studios. When I went in, I started off in the basement and worked my way up to the office spaces that I lived in. But in the basement, it was great. It was dark and it was a nice big space. But unfortunately, it was close to the echo chamber. So when they started recording, that was it. I'm up, right?
Yeah.
I could hear the stuff going down to the reverbs, and the music was loud down there. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's a cool record. And then also,
right
around that time is
Productions.
the Jeff Dahl, the Power Trip, when he did his band Power Trip.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool record.
I did not work on that either.
Yeah. How about? Did you have any involvement with the Stickball record? That's
no.
Do you remember it though? you know what it is, right?
Yeah, sure I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some.
Yeah, no, I have a few also.
Somebody that Doug was involved with earlier in his record career. He was. I don't remember the exact story. Let me try and see if I can piece this together. It was Tony something. Tony.
Okay.
I wish I had was the guy that actually did it. And he was working on a record for a big name artist. I don't know, some woman.
Okay.
And after she left the studio one day, he went in there and did this over the music that they had or something like that.
Yeah.
and I don't know. Doug got him to put it out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's all these
don't know that
versions.
much about it.
No, and to tell the people
that's a long time ago, man. And I'm really old. So.
No, I know, but every little piece of information you give on this stuff is gold. So bear with me. Let me tell the story though, just for the people that aren't aware of that record. So Stickball is this 7-inch that comes out in '82, and basically it's just like a boring radio song, like a mainstream song. And I guess the gag was that DJs, they'd put on the record and walk away and take a piss or go have a cigarette or whatever. And so the first minute and a half of this record is just a plain song. But then after a minute and a half, some guy comes on and starts cursing and talking dirty and so forth. So it's just a classic gag record. And if you guys don't know it, you should look up the Stickball 7-inch. It's very funny.
And that's where the phrase "whip some skull on me" came from.
Yeah, exactly.
And he actually says that in there.
Yeah. And so I'm so fascinated with these years, like the 82, 83, because Doug is starting to do some of this punk or the real punk adjacent, like the Jeff Dahl, the Vox Pops, the Deprogrammers.
Right.
But he's still doing like some other stuff. Like he does like the Billy Vera record in '83, which is yeah. And how is he curating this stuff? Like, Is it just a studio? So it's like Billy Vera needs to do a record, so come to Mystic and record, but he actually puts it out as well. So it's so kind of
Yeah,
insane.
well, he kind of had a business to where he would people would come into the studio and record, and he would um, it was one of his services. We could make a record out of this. You can make your own record, kind of a DIY thing, and he
Right.
would expedite going through the whole process and okay, get the metal parts, mothers, the stampers, get artwork and everything processed. But people didn't really know how to make a record back then. A lot of people didn't. So it was kind of a side thing he had, where he would um, he would record in a studio, and then he would release it on Mystic Studio Records or Mystic Records or whatever.
Yeah, or one of
And some
like
people paid for the records to come out, and they were they would pay for it, and then you know take the records, and Doug would try and distribute for them or whatever.
yeah, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. Like it might have been right before you came, but he was doing all these other sub labels like the Mystic Classique, and then he did like the Long Beach Southern Airs. He did like some gospel type music, and he was really
Yeah,
just all
that
over the
was
place. It was really cool.
a little bit before my time.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then you're coming
I
in
mean I've
right.
seen the records, and I've
Yeah, go ahead.
mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a little bit behind, before my time. When I came in, he had just started thinking and talking about doing this project called The Sound of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Before he left this mortal coil, he wanted to record everything in Hollywood and do this big set of every band in Hollywood, and
Hmm.
just put out the Sound of Hollywood, Sound of Hollywood Girls, Sound of Hollywood this, Sound of Hollywood that, and he. So when I came in, and that was one of the first things I did is I got a handful of contracts, and I went around to different bands and clubs and said, "Hey, we're doing this project. You want to contribute? You want to work on it?" And, I started pulling in bands to be on the project,
Yeah, sure. Because
and then it was enough girl.
sorry, the
Go
first
ahead. I'm sorry.
no,
I
no,
keep interrupting. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no. The phone is hard. I like to do these in person, but sometimes with the distance, we got to
Yeah.
do it on the phone. Um, I'm just trying to
Right.
put it in perspective for everyone. So the Sound of Hollywood, the first one is all girl groups, and it's 1982, and then the second one he
Mm-hmm.
does is the Destroy LA, and that's 1983, and this one's pretty crazy. I'll pull it
Right.
up. You can speak about it, what you remember, but it has like Bad Religion,
Mm-hmm.
it has other bigger bands, and it's a weird era for Bad Religion too because these are actually like exclusive Bad Religion tracks on Mystic Records, but they're like
Yeah.
they're like weird acoustic tracks.
Right. Right. Well, Destroy LA was another fanzine
Okay.
um, that was doing the same. We were doing the same kind of thing that Jordan was doing, and the Jordan from We Got Power was doing. So we were gonna, put out the record, and the record was going to have a copy of the fanzine inside, and a lot of ideas we had that we were going to try and do, and we had beautiful artwork for that, which was the guy that did the fanzine actually had made this artwork for it, and it was Destroy LA, and it was a shot of the Capitol Records building crumbling from the earthquake from some big disaster movie that was out around then.
Uh huh.
I don't remember what it was. It was maybe some earthquake movie or something like that. But it was a great shot, but we couldn't use it without getting sued by Capitol or whoever. So he showed up with the artwork. I think like the day before it needed to go to the printer. So and Doug's like, "We can't use this." So I'm like, "Oh, fuck me." I knew, I just saw it coming. I was like, "All right, here, go make some artwork for this." So I'm like, 2:00 in the morning, I'm sitting there trying to cut something out and make some kind of cover. So you got the ugly yellow cover on that. Yep, that was my fault. So, which actually that was a good record too, much better than the album cover would indicate.
No, it's cool. It's got Bad Religion, Circle One, Battalion of Saints, which is really early
Yeah,
Battalion of
yeah,
Saints, '83.
yeah.
Shattered Faith.
That was a great record, one of the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super good.
I
And
think
then
it's got Red Scare on there. I think
yeah,
Red Scare is on there.
Red Scare, Keep America Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so in
yeah, yeah.
'83, you guys just start firing, and like you're talking about the other compilation, the We Got Power. That
Yeah.
one is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was a great record.
But they
So,
curate
some
that,
of that
right?
stuff.
They're in charge of getting the bands for that.
He started off getting the bands for that, and then we incorporated some of the stuff we were doing and added some of the bands. It ended up being kind of a co-production, kind of. We added stuff to it, and everything. Everything had to be a minute long. All the songs had to
Right.
be 1 minute. If it was over a minute, I was there with a razor blade, just slicing off the end, man. Putting in, I think, like 1 second of a leader in between the songs. So it was like boom song, boom another song. It just kept going.
Yeah.
And because I mean, on an album, on a 12-inch record, you can have like 21 minutes aside. At that, with that much with that much music time on the side of a record, the more music you put on, the lower the sound is going to be on it.
Sure.
Because the sound is indicated by the depth of the groove of the record.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like 21 minutes worth of music on there, it's going to be a low sounding record. So We Got Power is not a very loud record because we put on the maximum amount of time we could have on there. I think it was 20 minutes, I think was like the limit. And then, at that point, if you cut it too loud, then the grooves touch each other and, it's ruined.
Right. And
the grooves touch each other in the mastering process.
how many of these bands are coming in and recording in Mystic, and how many are like mailing in the songs? Because you have like on this comp, you have the big boys who are from Texas.
Yeah.
You have just a bunch of bands.
Yeah, that record, most of it was it came in the door.
Okay.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And then we had, I think, Illy Repute and other bands that we were working with. We just added stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean,
and then that involved into a series. So we got Party Series.
Right. There's three. There's three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the lineup on this thing is just insane. If people look at it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. No, White Flag, White Cross, Ill Repute, Stalag.
Yeah.
Willful Neglect. Adrenaline OD, the Big Boys, Sin 34, El Duce with
it's a
solo
ridiculous
song.
album.
Minutemen, Dayglow Abortions. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
7 seconds.
Yeah. Pretty remarkable.
2 7-second songs. False Confession, Red Cross. It's just what an insane
Is it 2 7-second songs or is it 2 7-second bands? There was 2 bands called 7 Seconds, I think.
Well,
and I don't remember if it was 2 different bands or 2 bands doing a different, their own songs.
Yeah, I don't know. The songs are two. Who knows? But it's listed on Discogs as being the same band. So I haven't listened to it in a while. I would have to check.
Right. I have to go check too. I got one laying around somewhere.
Yeah, another 1983 record. Do you remember anything about? Did you guys record the Airing Disgrace EP?
Yes, we did.
And are you aware of that?
Family.
Yeah, that that record got a lot of notoriety because it got picked up by like the Killed by Death series later, and that's now like a $600 record.
Yeah. I know. I think Doug's going to repress that, or he's been talking about repressing it. I don't know if he has or not, but I know he mentioned that to me a while back.
Hopefully he doesn't.
Like a few years back, probably now.
It'll drive the price down on my record.
Yeah.
But
I have one too. I think.
What were those guys like?
They were fine with me. I mean, they were all about the business. They came in, they're business like and stuff, and I guess we came to find out later that I think the Stern Bros told us that they were anti-Semites or something like that, which we didn't know at the time, but I think that's what was said about them.
Oh,
I think they ran a club somewhere or something. Gosh, man, this is a long time ago. I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's just
I was trying to recall.
I was hoping it was completely satirical, but that sucks if they were kind of shitty like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what I heard through a third party. So I couldn't really tell you firsthand knowledge. I don't know.
I gotcha.
I just heard that after. Yeah.
Okay, so another seminal record in '83 for most of the people listening to the pod is you guys do The first Ill Repute 7-inch. Ill Repute Land of No Toilets. And
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
I got to know, how did you get that guitar sound?
I didn't get that guitar sound. Stephen L. Brenner got the guitar sound. I did not record that record,
Okay.
and I really wasn't in the studio much for that, so I don't really know what he was doing.
Okay, we can't blame you then, Philco.
Oh yeah, right. No, not me. A lot of stuff you can blame me for, but not that.
Yeah, because the LP is great. What Happens Next is so awesome.
Yeah.
But the Land of No Toilets,
and
the
Steve
songs
did that
in
one
there.
too.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. He did both of those records.
Okay. There's a couple.
I
Go ahead.
well, so I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, when I first started working with them on songs for compilations,
Okay.
God of Thunder, I think, for the covers compilation. I think there were several other compilations that I recorded their music.
Cool.
And then I recorded I produced the Transition album too,
Okay.
which nobody likes, but I like it. I mean, I like it. What can I say?
Yeah. No,
I didn't mean to take you out of context.
No, that song, that Ill Repute song, "Burning," on that record, I love it. It's one of my favorite Ill Repute songs.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple heavy metal records that get done at the end of '83 or in '83. The Vengeance
Hellion?
7-inch. Yeah. The
Vengeance?
The Hellion.
Week or 10 Days, Hellion, yeah.
Yeah. And then also that Angelus. The Weird No
Angelus,
Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you in there for any of that?
I didn't actually work on any. Yeah, I was there. I didn't work on any of them, though.
That's cool, though. You were there. And then
yeah, that was pretty much Steve Brenner did those. He was the engineer that was working there when I first got there.
Okay, so you're still like kind of learning a little bit.
I'm still I'm still figuring stuff out. Yeah.
Okay. But is Getaway like your sub label? Because Dr. No Plug-in Jesus comes out in '84, and then it pops up on Getaway.
Yeah.
So can you?
Doug assign that label to me. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was hoping that you could explain the separation.
Yeah, I mean, no separation other than it was just a separate label to have like a separate sort of identity. We started out with Slimy Valley compilation, and then Dr. No Plug-in Jesus. And I think there was one other record on that label, but I don't recall.
Yeah, there's a couple other. Like I think that maybe one of the the Aggression, the bootleg LP might have been on Getaway.
Yeah, I think it was right.
But I don't have it right in front of me. But yeah, no, I was just curious, like why did not just have it on Mystic? It was kind of strange.
And you know what? I don't know exactly. I don't recall why that happened. There was a reason at the time, I'm sure, but I don't remember what that was. Okay. But I think it was he wanted me to have my own kind of label that I could kind of do what I wanted with and stuff. But it didn't end up being like that.
Yeah,
didn't go that way.
Did you record that record though? Or did you have anything to do with it?
Which record?
Plug-in Jesus.
Yeah, I was listed as a producer on that, although I did not engineer it.
Okay.
Steve Brenner did that one.
Because it sounds great. That one.
Yeah, that is an amazing record.
That one sounds great, and then also
I put in my 2 cents and stuff on the after hours and things like that. But Steven, I could hear what he was doing, and he was on a roll. And I didn't want to get in his way.
Yeah.
So I just let things go as they were, and I was happy with that record. It's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other one that sounds so good of that era is the False Confession 7-inch. That recording is great.
Yeah, I did that one.
Okay.
I like that one a lot.
No, that one is awesome.
Yeah. Fred is ridiculous. And Israel, fucking what a singer. Those guys, man, they really had it all together.
I know. It's
had everything.
Such a shame that they just did only the 7-inch in that era.
I know.
And a couple.
I know. There was
maybe a comp song. Maybe a comp song.
There was talk about them doing an album. It never came about. I don't know why. But they were always one of my favorite bands. Them, Dr. No, they were really. I liked more of the metal kind of stuff, more rock and roll metal kind of stuff, that opposed to like thrash and punk stuff. Really.
Sure. Yeah, a little more powerful.
Yeah.
How about what do you remember about like the? Were you there when Ill Repute did the Halloween Live stuff?
You know what? I was not there that night.
That was a good night to not be there.
I was
huh?
there for part of it. Yeah, it was a crazy night. I had gotten sick.
hmm
I was really sick. I had a bad cold, flu. I don't know. I had something, and there was just no peace anywhere around there that night. So I hung out for a while, helped get set up, got things rolling, and then I went to my girlfriend's house, and I just stayed there because, I had to get away. It was just too much for me.
Yeah,
I had to get out of there. I mean, living in a studio is you get no peace really ever.
Sure.
And we were so busy. We were always recording. We do 2, 3, sometimes 4 bands a day.
Yeah.
They come in, they set up, they tear down, they leave. The next band. We were like a full-on factory. I remember nights just going home, to my room and just, getting some Thai food and just laying in bed, just kind of with my head on the pillow, just kind of shoveling it in. I was so exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it was endless.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the list of what came out, it's so prolific. And then to think that there's a million bands getting recorded that their stuff isn't coming out, it's, you guys just had to have been so busy. So another,
I had to stop going out at night, the clubs practically, because I just kept getting, when's my record coming out? When's my record coming out? And you have a million records coming out, but there's 3 million bands being recorded, and everybody wants a record to come out right away, and it's just it just got to be too much.
Yeah,
very overwhelming.
Yeah, and were you there for the Long Beach Southern Airs? They did a 7-inch. They did 2 LPs, but in '84 they did their second LP. He'll Be There. Were you in there at all for that?
I was not.
Okay,
I was not.
Just wondering, like,
I don't know what I was doing, but I remember when they were in, and I think probably Steve recorded those as well, because I didn't.
Yeah, just such a different setup to do there. To go from like doing thrash bands to doing like a full, like kind of like a church band. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and we did a lot of Mexican music too.
Yes,
actually, in there. I mean, we were a studio. We were always hand to mouth. We never had money. We were charging $16 an hour for 16-track studio.
Mm-hmm.
$16 an hour doesn't go far when you talk about overheads and I mean. None of us ever really got paid.
Sure.
But we did get beer and food, and we were taken care of. And I have no complaints about that. That's how we went in. We got some money sometimes. And generally, I would work on the same deal as the bands did, where, I got a handful of records, went to record stores, sold them for cash. And that was my spending money. It was my allowance.
Right. No, I'm trying to look at the, to see some of the Mexican bands you could have done. But a lot of it is like you would have been before you showed up. Like
no, it was at the same time. There was a label worked out of there called El Mundo de la Música.
Okay.
The world of music.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Radio must.
This is why I need you on this pod, Philco. It's because now I gotta write that down and look up everything they did. El Mundo de la Música. Yeah. I will look it up. But you did,
yeah.
But right before you, I think the craziest record that ever came out on Mystic Records is that Fernando Valenzuela picture 7-inch.
Yeah.
That is insane. And was that like licensed? Did he actually do that legit? Do you know?
You know what? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's so wild.
If it wasn't like like the punk rock and kind of stuff, I really didn't have much involvement with that stuff. The Fernando Valenzuela. I have do you have the Seika picture disc?
Yeah, it's a 7-inch picture disc.
No, no. I'm talking about the Seika picture disc. The porn star Seika.
Oh yeah, I don't have that. My friend Colin had it. Yes, I have. Yeah. And I have another.
Yeah, I have a copy of that.
Okay. You just have a single copy?
Yeah, I just have one copy. Yeah.
Okay. You can write it in your will for me, Philco.
Yeah, I will.
There's no. I mean, there's only a few things I don't have. I don't have. It's the White Cross 7-inch, like the promo for the Desperate Teenage Love Dolls.
Oh, I had about I had about 10 of those test pressings.
I think that because there's only test pressings, you probably made about 50
Yeah,
of them.
there's only test pressings.
Yeah. Well, if you find an extra.
Yeah, I don't know how many. Yeah, I might have a couple. If I have an extra one, I'll get it to you. I promise.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking at the other.
I had several at one time, and as the years go by, I off them every once in a while.
There's another crazy picture disc. I don't know if I have it on here or not, but it was like a tribute to a horse. Do you remember that one by any chance?
Yes, yes. I think I might have one of those.
I do have that.
And there
one.
again, it's just someone that came into the studio that was recording, and Doug said, "Hey, you want to make a record?"
Yeah.
And you can pay and make a record, and then you can pay this much more and make a picture disc.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go for a picture disc. I don't even really know the story behind that, actually, but I was there when it happened, and I have a copy. So I can't give you any more information than that.
No. I do have that one. And then here's another. This might be some of the Mexican bands. He did a sublabel called Sierra Mystic, and I can't find the year of it, but there's a band called Los Apóstoles, and the song it's a 45. El Brindis and Cuando Volveres. So who knows what year that came out? But that's that's a Latino band.
I don't know. I know that I have at different points recorded Latin bands in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's one that I did or not.
Yeah, that might be really early because, that early Mystic stuff he's still doing like the big hole cut 45s, and that's what that is.
Yeah.
So, but
that's earlier than me though. I don't think we did any big hole 45s.
Yeah, and then so that the picture disc of the horse is actually called Ebony's Mountain Man, tribute to a world champion.
Oh Jesus!
So,
I plead the fifth, man. I don't know.
No, it's super cool. But I mean, it's just to go that this is so prolific and it's so interesting. What you guys are putting out outside of the punk stuff. So what year do you think you really get up and rolling? Is it 85 or 86 that you start recording a lot? Did you do the Scared Straight 7-inch or did you do the Faction stuff?
Yeah. I did the Faction album or 12-inch anyways. I don't remember how many songs are on it.
Yeah.
I did Scared Straight. I don't know what years those were.
85, 86.
Scared Straight. I did No Effects. Did No Effects 7 inches.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew they were going to be so famous, I would have taken more pictures with them. I had no idea. Yeah, there's no way to know, man. There's just a million bands coming in. They were just another band like any of the other bands. Just another one coming in to do another 7-inch. So,
well, they were actually
had no idea.
They were a little worse than the other bands, so you could have never known.
Yeah,
those 7 inches.
They were a little
terrible.
worse, but yeah, they are.
Yeah, which
has since made it onto 12-inch records and Best Buds and all that stuff.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing to document it, right? Like it's a piece of history because they ended up being one of the biggest punk bands there are.
Well, that was also our pretty much our mandate from Doug was we weren't after making big, high, produced, polished records. We were out to document what they sounded like. Mm-hmm. What their actual sound was, and not to make it started off more as a documentarian label more than anything else, just trying to document everything that was going on, and then it evolved into what it became.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite or a standout record that you did that you're the most proud of?
Oh gosh, let me think. Wait, I'm gonna walk to the other room. I'm sorry. I need to.
No problem at all. No problem.
On my website, it's got a list of the records that I worked on.
Yeah, I should spend some time. I did look at your website. You just don't have the years on a lot of stuff, so I was going off mine. But
right,
I should shoot you over all the info I have, and you can combine it. It might help you out a little bit.
RKL. I don't know. That was kind of a no-brainer. The RKL album.
Yeah, the 7-inch or the LP. The Keep Laughing LP.
The album, the 7-inch.
Yeah.
I mean the album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That I think was one of my favorite records.
It's awesome. And how were they? Because they're so crazy. Like their chops are so good.
Yeah.
Or are they like sometimes when you're that like frenetic and even watching they put out this VHS in the 90s and it has a lot of their footage from like the late 80s and they're just going crazy.
Uh-huh.
Like could they settle down in the studio? Like would they sit in a chair and play or stand up and play or were they still like going nuts in the studio? Like could they hold still?
Uh, no, I don't remember them being too wild. I think, they were there for a reason.
Mhm.
They were there to work, and that's what we did. I don't remember it being uh, anything outlandish about what was going on there.
Yeah. No, I mean they're amazing.
But that we
Musically they're the best.
yeah, we did that album. I think we recorded in 2 days, and I think I mixed it in one.
Holy cow.
They were just going out on tour, and it had to be, we wanted to get it out, get them copies before they left, or get them to the one on the road or something. And they just came in and whooped it out, and I just sat there and mixed it. Sometimes it happens. It happens like that. Things work out.
What was the turnaround?
There's Rat Pack and
yeah.
Rat Pack was okay.
I love all the Rat Pack stuff. The first 7 inches is good punk, and then I was recently listening to the LP, which is pretty late. I think it's maybe 1990, 89, 90, and I absolutely love it. I was listening to it, and like sonically in my brain, it was like, is this like kind of like they're trying to do like butt rock, like like the Poisoning stuff, but they're not good enough? Or is this like first wave, like they're trying to be like the Sex Pistols? Like I'm listening to it and I can't tell, but whatever it is, like they got something on that record. It's really, really good.
It is. It's kind of an odd record.
It is odd, but I think that sonically just everything works for it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I think we recorded that at West Beach at the Bad Religion studio, or what's his name, studio?
Yeah,
Mr. Brett studio. Yeah. Now that was a block from Mystic. It was nipped by the Cathay de Grand, not far.
Right, because
it was a good studio. I did a few records there. Yeah.
Yeah, because in what year does Doug move from Hollywood down to San Diego?
Oh.
It's somewhere like 87, 88, right?
Yeah, it had to be. I couldn't give you an exact year, but I think that's pretty dead on.
Yeah, because I think that Transition, is that recorded in San Diego?
Yes, that was recorded in San Diego.
Okay.
Nestor Studio in actually east of San Diego. I don't remember the name of the town.
Yeah. So you have a great run with Mystic, and you get along with Doug the whole time. There's no real blow-ups or anything?
Yeah, no, I never had a problem with Doug, ever. Mm-hmm. Doug is always, Doug is, to this day, one of my dearest friends.
Yeah, I want him on the pod so bad just because, the people that haven't heard him talk, he's just, he has such a gift of gab, He has such a gift of gab. And,
he does.
And his family's musical history is so brilliant. Like, I think that I would go an hour with him before I got to Mystic. So...
Yeah, I would love for him to come on the show.
Yeah, well, I hope you can work on him a little bit for me.
I will.
Okay. So when do you kind of part ways with Mystic, and what happened?
Actually, I parted ways with Mystic in 1990.
Okay.
I met the love of my life, and I got married in 1990, and I think the day after my wedding was the last day that I worked for Mystic. It's just, working for Mystic is not conducive to marriage and families and stuff like that.
Sure.
That's my wife. Yeah,
you need a paycheck when you.
Yeah, my wife says I needed a paycheck.
Yeah. So then you start going into the movie business a little bit.
Yeah, actually, right from there, I moved. Right after we got married, within a couple of weeks, I moved back to Hollywood and started as a runner at a trailer company that did movie trailers.
Okay.
And I convinced them that they needed their own sound department. They were farming stuff out, and they were cutting stuff on film, and I managed to convince them to invest a big sum of money to get an ADAP 2 system, which was a digital workstation similar to Pro Tools. Actually, similar to Sound Tools. Before Pro Tools was even Pro Tools, it was Sound Tools. So this is 1990. And so, yeah, it cost like $10,000, and it was a black box that had a computer that was basically running off an Atari Mega 4 computer.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mega 4 is for a whole Mega 4 megs of RAM.
Wow.
Not gigs, megs, megabytes of RAM.
Yeah, yeah. No, very of the time. Very
And
of
it
the
had
time.
a huge 750 megabyte hard drive, which was like unheard of.
Sure.
It was enormous, not gigabytes.
No, I know.
Megabytes.
I'm following.
Okay.
But at the time, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, state of the
And
art.
so I worked at the trailer company. I don't know, for quite a while. I worked at another company called Aspect Ratio, which was another big trailer company. And while I was working at Euphoria, these cats came in and they were going to I don't know, some film festival the next day, and they needed like this 15-minute reel done, cut with sound effects and mix and everything overnight, that's a lot of work. And I did it, and then they hired me to be the supervising sound person on the rest of the film. And so I did that.
Awesome.
And that's how I started in doing film.
What was that film?
I can't remember right now. Angel something.
Okay. Now
I'll look it up and get back to you.
but the apex of your movie career is doing sound for the greatest movie of all time, The Stone Age.
Yeah.
So how did you get? Did you see for episode 50 we did a tribute to that movie?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I have a couple of the guys on, and it's great. It legitimately is my favorite movie. And yeah, so how did you get hooked up with doing that film?
At this point I had built my own studio. Like this is ways after my trailer days. I was still mainly doing sound effects, and I had gotten them. Let me see, that's the best way. I was doing overflow work for a company called John Brasher and Associates.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of sound editing, worked on 100, bad horror films and stuff. And it's just one of the things that came through. They said, here you go. Take these reels and do sound effects on that. So I did.
So you're doing in the post-production, you're doing sound effects and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to do the sound effect for the puking scene into the chair? Do you remember it all?
God, I don't remember. That might have been a reel I was working on.
Okay. No, very good. Do you remember anything about the movie though? Like any? Not really.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You should.
I don't think I watched it since. I think I will. That was a long time ago, man.
No, I know it's 93 straight to VHS, but it's an American classic.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And so
I will investigate that.
Yeah, when I was looking at your filmography and it showed up, I was like, "Oh my God!" It's funny how small the world is.
Yeah.
You do all the mystic stuff and then you do the Stone Age. So
yeah, and Lawnmower Man I worked on.
Yeah, it's killer.
And then there's all these movies. The company I can't even remember the name of. They did Demonic Toys, Dr. Mordred, Doll Man, Puppet Master, Subspecies, all those movies.
Well, Demonic Toys is a classic.
Yeah. There was a couple of Demonic Toys I think I worked on.
Yeah, I think there's two.
Yeah.
But yeah, so jumping forward, what are you doing these days? Are you still recording bands?
Yeah. Not so much recording, more mixing. I have a studio in my home.
Okay.
That is beautiful. And I have a small room that I do a lot of Foley for films now. That's what my main focus is. Do you know what Foley is?
I do not.
when you sell a film to a foreign country, they take out the dialogue tracks.
Mm.
So everything that's recorded along with the dialogue goes away. All the movement, sounds, and things like that.
Okay.
And when you sell it to a foreign country, it has to sound like a complete movie, just no words. So every time someone takes a footstep or puts down a cup or picks up a pen or takes a bite and is chewing or drinking, anything you can see needs to be there. So
that is so rad.
I sit in the studio. Yeah, I sit in my studio room, and I'm watching the film and I'm recording, and I have a Foley artist in the other room, and he's watching the same thing I am, and he's in a room that is just full of props. I mean, just everything you can think of, every kind of sound. There's probably 25, 30 different kinds of shoes in there. If there's 5 people walking, you have to have 5 sets of people walking.
Sure.
So you do each one individual. Each person, you focus on, okay, the guy on the left in the red shirt. So as he's walking, my Foley artist is walking.
Right.
And not only is he wearing the same kind of shoes, but he has to walk on the same kind of surfaces.
Sure.
Whether it's grass or dirt or rocks, or hardwood floor or cement. We have all those surfaces in the room. So we do that, and we go through everything. And, by the time we're through, you can pretty much watch it with just what we recorded and just go, why aren't they talking? Because you can still hear everything. It still sounds like it should sound, but just without the words.
Oh, that is so cool.
And we do a lot of it for domestic too, because, a lot of stuff gets lost. You can't rely on the dialogue for a lot of that sound. Some of it you can still use, but a lot of it's got to be replaced. So we work on domestic films as well.
So cool.
But the foreign films is called wall to wall, where you just cover everything you see. It takes about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Working every day.
Man, that is so
cool. It's a lot of minutia, and I used to hate it, but I found the art in it, and so now I really enjoy doing it. Just do a scene and sit back and watch it, and just go, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. I'm a lover of film. Obviously,
nice.
I have the best taste with my favorite flick.
yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So, but if
I do a lot of.
Go ahead.
I do a lot of mixing here too.
Okay. So if someone wants Philco Raves on their record, what do you do for them? They'd send you their unmixed record, and you'd mix it for them.
Yeah, they could send me basic tracks and WAV files or in a Pro Tools session or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we go back and forth. You're not sitting in the room with me while I'm mixing. I say, just let me do my own pass, and I do it as I think it should sound. And then it goes back to them, and they have, it goes back and forth a little. Then we zero in on exactly how they want it, and that's how it goes. And when I do that, I don't charge by hour. I just say, okay, it'll cost this much to do the record. I get an idea of what they want, what the expectations are, and I do it like that. And I can work in any budget. I make my money off the film stuff, and I try and do what I can for musicians and stuff. They're trying to get stuff out.
Yeah, so cool. And so, Philco, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Philco Raves at gmail.com, or you can go to my website and you can listen to some of the stuff I've mixed. And there's a little a thing on there, a little link to where you can email me from the website. That works.
Okay, but we can't get that Lana No Toilet sound because you weren't in charge of that.
yeah, no, sorry. You'll have to talk to Steve about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've been so generous with your time. I really appreciate it. You've been awesome. I know going through the discography can be punishing. I can't imagine having done so many projects and have some guy, 35 years later be like, so how do you record the Live at Fenders with the Grimm,
Right.
What do you think about that Aggression record from West Virginia? So
I haven't really heard any of this stuff in so long. Oh my God, I'm going to have to go back and revisit a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah. I'm never going to let you off the hook about that the Desperate Teenage Love Dolls. So prepare yourself to be punished.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me find. Well, I sure got one for you.
Okay. But yeah,
I'll
it's
look
awesome.
around.
And I'll send you through this discography. I think it'll be a fun trip down memory lane for you.
Yeah, terrific.
So, great. Well, I appreciate your time, Philco. Do you feel like you've been well represented?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This has been a joy.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute joy for me as well. So thank you so much for your time, and take care of yourself.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.